This is Economy Watch, what you need to know about New Zealand's economic life today. Brought to you by interest.co.nz.
Kia ora, and welcome to Monday's Economy Watch, where we follow the economic events and trends that affect Aotearoa. I'm David Chaston, and this is the international edition from interest.co.nz. And today we lead with news China is struggling to revive consumer interest in spending and consumption. But first, this coming week, the key focus will be on the RBNZ Monetary Policy statement on Wednesday. A feature of the past month has been the volatility in the financial markets pricing of this upcoming rate decision. Financial markets have had little conviction, shifting their pricing from zero change to a 50 basis point cut. Currently they're guessing a 25 basis point cut, but it's only a guess. We must remember the new government stripped jobs from their mandate, leaving only inflation as the RBNZ's goal. And as we all know, inflation isn't beat yet. What we will all be looking for is whether the RBNZ committee thinks it is beaten on a semi-permanent basis going forward. 2 sleeps to know. Also this week, we'll get the US July inflation results, both CPI and PPI. Analysts expect a 2.9% CPI and a 2.6% PPI there. Retail sales data, along with industrial production data, will also be released for the world's largest economy. And China will report new yuan loans for July later today, expected to be weakish, along with retail sales, house prices, and their labour market data. In Australia, we'll get the NAB Business Confidence Report and a Westpac Consumer Sentiment Survey, both probably tomorrow. And that'll be followed later in the week by their July labour market data, expected to show only modest gains. In China, their consumer inflation picked up from an ultra-low 0.2% in June to 0.5% in July. But food prices are still showing some deflationary effects. Although overall those food prices are up a tiny 0.2% year on year, that is only because of a 20% rise in pork prices. Beef prices are down almost 13% in the year, lamb prices down more than 6%, milk prices are down 1.9% on the same basis. If you take out the base effects from some key items like pork, the deflationary threat in China is still very much alive. And still in China, producer prices are still deflating, down 0.8% in July from the same month a year ago, and the same fall recorded in June. And Chinese July vehicle sales fell to just under 2.5 million units, or down 2.4% lower than in June, but 4.1% higher than the same month a year ago. China is the world's largest vehicle market, but those sales figures include exports. Domestic sales fared far worse, falling 10% on the year to just under 1.8 million units for a steeper drop than the 7.4% decline recorded in June. Wider than cars, others are reporting that consumer demand is weak in their categories too. The pall of value losses from their housing investments is weighing heavily on consumer sentiment there. It must be bad because their official consumer sentiment survey hasn't been updated since May, after it recorded a big drop from April. In the US, we should note that the US Fed is not shrinking its balance sheet as fast as it planned, with only a tiny $49 billion reduction in the past month. That takes it back to the level it first arrived at the outset of the pandemic 4 years ago. From its peak in April 2022, it is down $1.8 trillion, or 20%. Progress now is slowing, however. In Canada, their labour market is marking time. Employment fell by 2,800 in July to 20.5 million. A surprise because analysts expected a 22,000 rise. Still, the number of unemployed fell by 8,600. They also had a 0.3 percentage point drop in their labour force participation rate, and that takes it to a 2-year low of 65%, the lowest since 1998 if you exclude the pandemic. In Russia, they are suffering the opposite through fast rising inflation. In July it rose 9.1% from 8.6% in June. Everything is rising faster there, especially food prices. The US Treasury 10-year yield is now just on 3.94% and unchanged from Saturday. And the price of gold will start today up $4 at $2,431 an ounce. And oil prices are marginally firmer at just under $76 a barrel in the US, while international Brent price is now just on $79.50 a barrel. And the Kiwi dollar starts today little change from this time Saturday at just on 60 US cents. Against the Aussie were down 10 basis points at 91.2 Australian cents. Against the euro were up 10 basis points at 55 euro cents. That all means our trade-weighted index starts today at 68.7 and up 10 basis points. And the Bitcoin price starts today at $60,318 and up a minus 0.2% from where we left it on Saturday. Volatility over the past 24 hours has been low at just under plus or minus 1%. You can find links to the articles mentioned today in our show notes, and you can get more news affecting the economy in New Zealand from interest.co.nz. Kia ora, I'm David Chaston, and we'll do this again tomorrow.